Selected. Take a moment to let this reality settle into your being. No, your presence here is not accidental. This message was not delivered to you by accident. Heaven deliberately arranged this moment, timed it to your actions, and released it precisely when your spirit was ready to receive it. This is divine timing, a holy appointment, a whisper from eternity that comes to you in the present. Selected. You may be unaware of how closely God has monitored your progress. Every quiet battle, sacrifice and pain you've kept hidden from others is recorded in heaven's book of remembrance. As a result, the environment in which you live is changing. You are on the verge of a magical breakthrough, a rapid rise that will silence every voice that believes you have been forgotten. Heaven is about to release the wealth they said you'd never touch, the doors they thought were locked to you, and the opportunities they thought you passed up in an undeniable way. Anointed One. The scheduled time has arrived. According to Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 3, the vision is awaiting its allotted season. However, it will definitely arrive, and it has already found you. Enter this moment with a heart ready to receive God's disclosures, as well as reverence and expectation. Selected. Allow your spirit to adjust to this reality before taking any more action. Heaven has been in motion for quite some time before your contact with a portent. The transition that is now occurring did not begin today. It began in hidden places during unnoticed hours when nothing looked to be changing, nothing was bursting open, and nothing was responding. However, it is critical that you understand this with prophetic clarity. Heaven has been building the very breakthrough. You're now entering the scene piece by piece, layer by layer, and breath by breath. The trauma that is to follow will affect not only you, but everyone who thought your silence meant the end of your narrative. The Chosen One. God is on the verge of turning what looked to be the most profound proof of your abandonment into the most audible assurance of His favor. I say this with conviction because this is not just theory or lyrical phrase, it is spiritual law. It is impossible for something ordained by a deity to remain hidden permanently. What is anointed cannot be ignored indefinitely. Eventually, what God has inhaled will rise. I found this for myself at a time when my circumstances seemed to contradict the promise made to me. Others viewed my quiet as a sign of defeat. They concluded that my hesitancy suggested vulnerability. Because there were no loud or dazzling objects, I assumed that God had forgotten about me. However, they were unaware that God hides the most important seeds in the darkness of the soil. That is exactly what happened to you, Chosen One. Your stillness was not empty, but rather incubation. Your tranquility was not stasis, but rather a state of equilibrium. The seemingly impenetrable way was not a denial. Rather, it was a heavenly stop, as heaven prohibits you from entering a blessing until you are capable of carrying it. The proof of that divine preparation is starting to appear. The same people who previously thought you were overlooked will soon have to confront the true nature of divine timing, for the upcoming change is not subtle, delicate, or minor. This is the type of metamorphosis that carries God's imprint. A shift that is not subtle but audible. A modification that affirms rather than implies. A change that does not require authority, but takes its proper place in your life. Receive this message into your mind, Chosen One. You are on the verge of being irrefutable, and what makes you irrefutable is neither the acceptance of circles who have never admired you, nor the acclaim of individuals. It is the weight of heaven upon your life. The assignment in your life has matured, resulting in a shift in the atmosphere. The moment of truth has arrived for the secret that was seeded. The vision may wait for its set time, as the prophet stated in Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 3, but it will not delay when that time comes. Currently, you are on the verge of success. I'd like to address those of you who are still wondering why now after all this time and after a long period of silence. Because the version of you that lives today differs from the one that began the journey. Your identity has been cleansed, your endurance has been baptized with fire, and your faith has been forged. What used to break you is no longer capable of bending you, distracting you, is no longer capable of splitting you and intimidating you, no longer has the ability to influence you. Chosen one. You have been rebuilt from the ground up, and the most astonishing part is that you were completely unconscious of the process. Despite the lure of convenience, you continued to pursue truth, pray, and walk. When pandemonium demanded your attention, you maintained your composure. Despite life's attempts to pull you back into old patterns and pettiness, you maintained your spiritual elevation. Heaven never questioned you even when you questioned yourself. God never questioned his work in you even when you doubted your own worth. And now that calm, constant obedience is poised to explode into clear favor. This is why others will be surprised, not because you have suddenly been blessed, but because they have never seen the preparation that has led up to it. They never observed the nights you held on by a thread. They never saw the tears you wiped away before anyone could notice. They never witnessed your silent emotional fights. They had no idea that you had chosen forgiveness over bitterness in certain situations. They never witnessed the underlying battles that shaped your external fortitude. Dear Chosen One, heaven has assessed the entire circumstances and determined that the period of hiding is ended. The identical events that previously mocked you will now show your anointing. The doors that had before rejected you will now open without resistance. The journey that was once thought difficult will now be effortless because you are no longer walking on your own strength. Your steps are divinely aligned. Heaven has drawn you into this moment, Chosen One, and you continue to immerse yourself. I want you to understand a concept that the majority of people fail to recognize until it is too late. God does not begin the process of uplifting you by changing your environment. He starts the process by adjusting your capacity. He develops your perseverance, purifies your intentions, sharpens your insight, and broadens your belief. None of this happens in the public light. It happens in the shadows, in places where you felt overlooked, unappreciated, and misunderstood. Despite your feelings of neglect, heaven was rewiring your spirit for the level you are going to inherit. Your timing is not coincidental, since divine timing is never random. Everything in your life is starting to reorganize around that calling as heaven is ready to unveil what you bear. It is built with precision. The whole image may not be seen yet you can feel it, the gentle stirring in your chest, the internal shift that tells that something invisible is already happening. Chosen One, I require your unshakable understanding of this situation. The circumstances that formerly made you feel gloomy did not predict your defeat. They were invitations to grow into the version of oneself capable of bearing the blessing that is to come. I've been through seasons when all doors looked to close at the same time, when every prayer seemed to fade before reaching heaven, and when stillness rang louder than hope. However, it was during those times that God shaped me not through comfort, but through conviction, and not through praise, but with alignment. You've experienced the same refinement. You've been taught how to be steadfast in the face of adversity, even when no one is applauding your entrance. No one is listening to your remarks and your voice is shaking. Your obedience in the dark paved the way for the possibilities that will soon reveal everything God put within you. As the sky began to rise, you realize that this climb will not fit the world's idea of success. It will not be caused by desperation or effort. It will come from a state of surrender. Because of your loudest banging, the doors that are being prepared for you will not open. Your spirit has reached the frequency that heaven reacts to, thus they are now opening. Breakthroughs are unavoidable when heavenly timing coincides with spiritual preparation. Those who misconstrued your stillness, confused your humility for weakness, and mistaken your waiting for stagnation are about to witness a watershed moment marked by God. You are presently standing on that threshold. Chosen one, you are being exalted in a way that does not require an explanation. Your presence will overwhelm the events of the past. People will be unable to understand how you persevered in the face of what should have shattered you, how you continued to rise despite seemingly insurmountable conditions, and how you retained a tender heart when hardness would have been preferable. Your presence will elicit an emotion that differs from theirs. There will be a sense of peace wrapped in authority, strength wrapped in grace, and humility wrapped in supernatural weight. The atmosphere in question is not coincidental. It is proof of your personal accomplishments, and when God decides it is your turn, no one can stop the process. The people who earlier dismissed you will reevaluate their assessments. The same rooms that previously ignored you will now welcome your presence. The same doors that previously resisted opening will now open without effort. This is not due to you changing your identity to meet their expectations. Your identity has finally surfaced. You are entering a more relaxed phase as you are no longer required to demonstrate your merit. You are entering a more lucid chapter since confusion cannot remain in an aligned environment. You are entering a chapter that is precious to you since it was written specifically for this point in your journey. The Chosen One. Heaven is not simply prepared to deliver its benefits on you. Heaven is prepared to give you justice. Misunderstandings, false narratives, judgments shouted over your name, and preconceptions about your voyage are all disintegrating in the light of the truth that God is going to unveil. You are not being promoted to disprove their claims. You are being promoted in order to prove that God is correct. When heaven vindicates itself, there is no need for dispute. The testimony is your life. Every fight you've faced has given you strength. Each delay serves as a gateway to destiny. Each sacrifice is converted into a seed which sprouts during its designated season. During this season, your identity will speak for you. Not your defenses, not your excuses, or your attempts to rationalize your feelings. God is currently entering the tale. And when God intervenes, everything becomes crystal clear. Everything serves its intended purpose. The significance of everything that seemed random is revealed. You are entering a state of supernatural flow in which formerly difficult things become effortless. Laziness is not an indicator of comfort. It is a result of alignment. It is an incentive for remaining faithful when it would have been easier to forsake one's commitment. It is the outcome of seeds sown by the divine long before any signs of movement were seen. Select an individual and inhale this. The item approaching you isn't delicate. It will not disappear abruptly. Opposition will not threaten it. It will survive because of its divine origins. After years of uncertainty, you are entering a state of stability. You are shifting from a condition of doubt to one of clarity. You are now approaching a state of purpose after passing through valleys that attempted to convince you that purpose had died. Nothing was wasted. There were no losses. Everything was set for the start of the present event. I want you to feel the full depth of the divine symphony that has been orchestrating your life as the next layer of this revelation unfolds, Chosen One. You frequently wondered why the journey was so solitary, why the road was so constricting, and why certain people left when you thought they were supposed to stay. It was not neglect. It was a matter of alignment. When God prepares to elevate someone, He removes any element that is unable to breathe at high elevations. You weren't getting stripped. You were in the process of cleansing. Each partition had a distinct purpose. There was a strategy for every tranquil season. Every unresolved question held a hidden mercy. The fruit of the pruning that has been completed in heaven is going to spill into your life. You have remained faithful even when it did not feel rewarding. You persisted in the face of illogicality. Despite the scarcity of evidence, you upheld your conviction. Despite the fact that bitterness was pleading with you to change your mind, you persisted in your forgiveness. This is the kind of obedience that is valued in heaven, the kind that serves as the foundation for a life in which God can bestow influence, abundance, and authority. It was as if your life had been frozen for years, and everyone else was moving while you remained still. Heaven, on the other hand, was not holding up your progress. Heaven was protecting you. You were being discreetly cultivated so that when it came time for your unveiling, nothing could shake the foundation that God had laid in you. You can sense a spiritual transformation even if you can't express it right now. The number of moments of clarity is increasing. Your inner world is more serene. Your perception is sharper. You can discover problems before they occur. You can determine when something is appropriate before it arrives. There is no coincidence with that sensitivity. It is proof that your spirit has been tuned to a higher frequency by divinity, as the next stage of your existence requires judgment rather than haste. You are not entering a phase where you must compete for opportunities. Opportunities are recognizing your anointing as you enter a new season. Selected. The elevation that is approaching you is not just personal, it's generational. The healing for which you battled disrupts the patterns in your bloodline. Your resilience is laying the groundwork for those who will follow in your footsteps. The decisions you made in tears have given freedom to those you have yet to meet. You are not advancing solely for your own sake. You are rising in support of a lineage that heaven has refused to let die in cycles of fear, lack, and limitation. You represent the breaking of the patterns that previously claimed your family. You are a testament to God's ability to transform ashes into a living monument of grace. And now, chosen one, the same places in which you have faced the most hardship are about to become the source of your greatest blessing. A season of extraordinary flow has fallen upon previously constrained coffers. Relationships that were formerly debilitating are being replaced with spiritual connections. The opportunities that were previously unavailable to you are now returning in an upgraded state. Heaven does not compensate you for your losses. Heaven is presenting you with an experience that exceeds your expectations. The wealth allotted to your purpose is beginning to find you. Not because you sought wealth, but because your spirit evolved into a vessel capable of handling abundance without becoming corrupted by it. I'd like to share a personal lesson I learned during my own wilderness season. At times, I believed God was ignoring me. At times, I thought heaven had fallen silent. There were times when I felt like the promise was fading. However, I came to see that quiet does not indicate God's absence. It shows God's artistic skill. When His visibility could jeopardize the process, He works in the background. He aligns the invisible to guarantee that the benediction arrives exactly how you want it. God was literally building a future I couldn't see and selecting one every time I felt ignored. The same is true for you. Heaven has methodically built itself around your existence. Your blessing is not the cause of the trauma that people are about to experience. Rather, it is the timing of it. Because it will appear abrupt to them, you will be aware that it was a lengthy procedure. Every quiet prayer, every lonely night, every hidden sacrifice, and every decision to stick together when compromise would have been easier. These moments provided the push for the miracle that is now reaching you. Subtlety will not be used in the reveal. It will be the type of transformation that causes individuals who questioned your talents to reconsider their entire perception of you. Not because you want recognition, but because God expresses himself through your life. Choose one, ready your heart. The upcoming events are significant. It has influence, authority, duty, and impact. However, it also represents calm joy, ease, and contentment. You are entering a new era in which blessings no longer feel like struggles, miracles no longer feel like mysteries, and achievement no longer feels like survival. This season does not require a struggle. You will gradually shift into this season. Heaven does not expect you to strain yourself. Heaven is begging you to relinquish control. Chosen one, I want you to feel the true holiness of this moment as we journey deeper into the blossoming of paradise in your life. During various stages of one's journey, the weight of the unseen exceeds that of the visible. You faced pressures that threatened to shatter your spirit, whispered prayers that appeared to go unanswered, and carried silent burdens that no one noticed for longer than most. Nonetheless, your character has stayed unbroken. It expanded. It grew. It was fortified in places where you were ignorant of the need for strength. What you viewed as a delay was actually a period of divine reinforcement that turned you into someone capable of facing the impending crisis. The item approaching you, the chosen one, is not insignificant. Heaven does not provide a soul with the same amount of preparation for anything less than amazing. There were times in your life when you wondered why the route became darker instead of lighter, why the silence became louder rather than softer, and why the strain rose when you thought you had nothing more to offer. However, those specific situations were not indicative of desertion. They were indicators that God was guiding you into more difficult terrain. You were forced to hone your discernment as a result of the darkness. The silence forced you to listen to the teachings that the world was unable to deliver. The stress pushed you to summon the strength that the divine had instilled in you long before you arrived at this point. Each challenge was an opportunity for learning. Each disappointment served as a tool for shaping. The seedlings you'd need for the next chapter were being poured into you during each season that appeared to be empty. Chosen one, you have passed through valleys that tried to persuade you that your purpose was waning. Even amid those valleys, heaven spoke your identity to you. You weren't losing your identity. You were deleting aspects of yourself that were unable to join you into the future. There is a reason why certain relationships end. The alteration of certain visions is not without reason. Regardless of your strong wish for them to open, there is a reason why certain doors remain closed. You were not punished by heaven. Heaven was protecting you as you grew into yourself. When God prepares to elevate a person, he removes anything that cannot withstand the weight of the anointing on their life. You were ignorant of it at the time, but each separation cleared spiritual space for the blessing you are now receiving. And now, chosen one, the divine reversal that is taking place will surprise you. One morning you will awaken to the awareness that the weight you carried has been changed into clarity. As you enter previously intimidating places, you will notice that peace now precedes you. Opportunities that were inconceivable months ago will now be presented. Your steps will be marked by a magical ease, not because life has become perfect, but because your spirit has matured enough to no longer bear the load of fighting wars that were never meant for you. Your ascension is due to your alignment, not your efforts. You have finally come into alignment with the identity that heaven has always proclaimed for you. I'd want to share my firsthand experience with you. I used to believe that God was silent because I couldn't perceive his presence. I mistakenly associated quiet with distance. However, upon examination, I've realized that the quietest moments were when God was most active. No cry, prayer, or yearning was missed. I was not yet ready to read the chapters that God was composing. He has been executing the same action for you as the designated person. Actually, the silent burst of preparation that you saw as standstill was only apparent to the sky. The unveiling is now moving from a spiritual to a visible level. You will notice that people react to you in unique ways. They may not understand the cause for the inexplicable weight your presence carries, but they will feel it. It is hard to ignore, overlook, or undervalue the version of yourself that you are entering. Your activities will be taken as authoritative. Your words will resonate. Clarity will be a trademark of your choices. Your worth will be instantly recognized by others who previously overlooked it, as heaven pervades every element of your identity. One that has been selected. Next, there will be vindication, not just blessings. Those who thought your concealed season meant failure will be able to see the results of the structure you built in quiet. Those who misunderstood your silence for defeat will see the strength you developed in seclusion. Those who thought you had been forgotten will learn the truth about your preparation, preservation, and positioning. You're not ascending because you worked harder than everybody else. You are rising because heaven has decreed that this is your allotted time, and appointed time does not compete with delay. Rather, it outperforms it. This signifies the beginning of a supernatural metamorphosis in which everything that was once hostile to you begins to flow toward you. Opportunities that you had previously avoided will now pursue you. The clarity that was before viewed as remote will now serve as your guide. The blessings that appear to have been hindered will now arrive precisely. You're about to enter a time in which stagnation will give way to acceleration, pressure to serenity, and purpose to purpose. And one that has been chosen. The world is unprepared for the version of you that is now emerging. One that has been selected. As we move on to the next level of revelation, pay attention to how the milieu around your life changes. A divine stirring has been occurring silently, almost subtly, but continuously. You've had experiences where your spirit rose suddenly with hope, seemingly without a rational explanation. You've felt it when an unexplainable calm surrounded situations that had previously made you anxious. You've seen it when formerly tightly closed doors began to loosen without your assistance. This anxiety is not arbitrary. It is heaven's proclamation that your time of divine manifestation has begun. Your life has followed a prophetic cycle of breaking, building, refining, and rising. For years, the breaking was seen as unjust, the construction as slow, the refining as painful, and the ascension as delayed. However chosen one, each cycle has moved you closer to the version of yourself that can handle the impending event. Heaven does not rise prematurely. Elevation without preparation is destructive, yet elevation with preparation leads to destiny. No, you are not pursuing your destiny because you demanded it. Rather, you are doing so because you persisted. It is vital that you understand a key feature of your own nature. You do not ascend in the same way as others. You ascend through revelation. You rise through submitting. When no one else is around, you climb through obedience. Perfection has never been the foundation of your strength. It was founded on the notion of resilience. Even when life dealt you a more severe blow than expected, your spirit remained resilient. When people let you down, you learned to trust God rather than despise them. When you were forced to be silent, you learned to hear heaven more clearly. These qualities are uncommon. They are the attributes of someone who has been chosen for an exceptional position. The favor that is coming, chosen one, will not be fragile. It won't escape your grasp. It will not vanish the moment you begin to understand it. Those who build without God are given frail blessings, but the foundations of heaven are immune to disruption. This next chapter in your life will be marked by a level of steadiness that you have never known before. You are entering a time when resources will flow more readily, opportunities will feel aligned rather than forced, and decisions will feel directed rather than rushed. This is because heaven no longer instructs you. Heaven is currently putting its faith in you. We should talk about the weight you are bearing. Although you may be unaware of it, others have already noticed something unique about you. Your energy is currently defined by a subtle sense of authority. Even people who are not aware of your story can feel the shift. That is the perfume of someone who has survived fire without letting it define them. You exude the aroma of endurance, the fragrance of survival, and the warmth of someone who has been preserved by heaven for a reason beyond their wildest expectations. This is why certain surroundings can no longer accommodate you. This is why some relationships no longer appear to be aligned. When God enhances identity, He elevates both His chosen one and the environment. The shock that heaven is preparing will impact both those who doubted you and those who believed in you. Individuals that prayed for you, encouraged you, gave assistance, or simply made room for your growth. Your breakthrough will also help these people. God does not ascend in solitude. He is in a state of overflow. As you rise, others will follow suit. Your rehabilitation will inspire others to seek healing as well. Your triumphs will forge paths for others to follow. You are more than just a receiver of heavenly favor. You are also a conduit for it. This is also the season when your voice will regain the strength that life previously tried to take away. There was a time when speaking one's truth was regarded as risky, believing in one's sincerity as costly, and using one's voice as if entering a fight. However, your voice is returning with more clarity. The world really needs what you're saying. The world requires what you observe. What you own is essential to the cosmos. The world demands a viewpoint that can only be supplied by someone who has been through darkness and escaped undamaged. Heaven did not preserve you for silence, but rather for influence. Breathe deeply, chosen one. Allow this fact to permeate your being. You are not starting a period of effort. You are about to begin a period of receiving. No, you are not starting a phase of self-provement. You are entering a phase when you will be recognized by the divine realm. You're not starting a period of uncertainty. You are entering a phase in which your identity, purpose, and direction are perfectly aligned as they have finally matured within you. Heaven is dragging you into the next dimension. Thus, the spiritual gravity on your existence is increasing. And now the blessing that looked distant, the promise that seemed unachievable, and the breakthrough that seemed delayed have arrived at your doorway. Heaven is not asking you to chase them. Heaven is telling them to find you, and they will. Chosen one, I intend for you to feel the weight of heaven's unseen acts as we move on in this next stage of your path. Your physiological senses are unable to see the changes taking place in your environment, yet your soul has already sensed them. You've had a subliminal desire to detach yourself from what was once comfortable. The gradual stirring that marks the arrival of a new season differs from the season you are leaving. A muted bravery has stirred inside you, prompting you to let go of old identities, irrelevant narratives, and connections that no longer correspond with your goals. All of this is deliberate. Currently, there is no arbitrary element in your existence. Heaven is organizing not only your ascension, but also your detachment from anything that could oppose it. Despite being the chosen one, many people misjudged you owing to their lack of understanding about the structure of your narrative. They observed you traveling through wilderness seasons and determined that the wilderness had the last say. You were witnessed traversing conflicts without assistance, and they concluded that you were too vulnerable to rise. They saw your tears and interpreted them as signs of fragility rather than transformation. However, heaven saw a distinct world. The heavens watched your spirit's persistence. Heaven noticed how you maintained your sense of purpose even when it was difficult. Heaven noticed your discipline in solitary, your faith when no one clapped, and your fortitude in quiet. Despite the fact that your circumstances stayed constant, heaven saw your character evolve. And now, heaven is poised to acknowledge the work you have performed in the darkness. God enabled certain people to misread you for a reason. He allowed select people to leave for a legitimate reason. There's a reason why people couldn't see your worth when you were still developing. If they had discovered the value within you too early, they would have tried to influence, limit, or claim control of it. However, heaven protected you by hiding you. You were concealed not because you were unworthy, but because you were incomplete. Like an unpolished jewel hidden deep under the soil, you needed time to shape before being unveiled. And the time is almost up. The next unveiling will not only raise you, but will also redefine you in the eyes of people who previously had reservations. Chosen one. The adversity you've encountered has given you the tools you need to transcend without the need for affirmation. You are not entering a season where you will be expected to justify your worth. You are entering an era in which your worth will be apparent. Your assurance is not arrogance. It is an indication of alignment. It is the peaceful confidence that comes with surviving storms and knowing that you were never destroyed. It is the maturity that comes with facing heartbreak and accepting that your heart still beats with clarity and compassion. It is the authority that comes from realizing that each trial you have faced has contributed to your current spiritual load. The next chapter of your life will be rich with signs of divine intervention. Opportunities will arise in places you never expected. Resources will come from unexpected places. Individuals that align with your goals will manifest themselves without your intervention. This is the essence of miraculous acceleration. Heaven is not just raining favors on you, it is also placing you. A replacement for everything you've lost is being designed to reflect your new identity. The pain you've been carrying is transforming into a calm that will act as a foundation for you. Clarity is replacing the confusion that was previously blocking your vision. Loneliness that was previously intolerable has been transformed into divine company and assignment. Selected. I'd want to share with you a personal event that has greatly shaped my understanding of God's timetable. During different phases of my life, I begged God to open certain doors. I demanded opportunities, contacts, and results that I felt convinced I could attain. When the doors remained closed, I began to mistrust everything: God, myself, the promise, and the purpose. However, I came to see that something basic was happening over time. I would have been devastated if the products I expected had arrived sooner. The wait was necessary for me. Pruning was necessary for me. The silence was exactly what I required. I required the discomfort. They were precautions, not fines. The right door eventually opened without the use of force. It opened effortlessly since it was consistent with my identity. This also applies to you, chosen one. The next stage of your trip requires no shove. Instead, it requires you to stand, trust, and walk in the identity that heaven has honed in you. You are entering a realm of gifts that have evolved in line with your personal growth. These blessings did not expand while you were striving. Instead, they did when you yielded. I implore you, chosen one, to see the divine beauty of the present moment when the next wave of insight enters your spirit. The environment in which you live has changed. Even if you can't put it into words right now, you can feel it. A quiet expectation that arises at unexpected times, a stability in your steps, and a tenderness in your breathing. This isn't a random emotion, it's the product of spiritual alignment. As you enter a season in which your inner world finally coincides with the calling that heaven has placed over your outside world, you are witnessing the true beginning of a breakthrough. You've been through years of seasons that felt like contradictions bearing promise, while confronting delays, holding vision while enduring confusion, and developing faith while surrounded by uncertainty. These paradoxes were not designed to damage your strength, but rather to increase your ability to engage in paranormal activities. When a person is chosen, their training is unique, their route is more confined, their teachings are deeper, their conflicts are more severe, and their ascension is more meaningful. Taking place in areas of your life that were previously considered immovable. The situations that drained your energy are progressively disappearing. Your spirit is naturally drifting away from the relationships that have exhausted you. The environments that previously hampered your development are no longer compatible with your identity. This is the process of spiritual growth. Heaven is not only raining benefits on you, it is also improving you, raising you to a frequency unrivaled by everything that has held you back. It is likely that you will feel uncomfortable or disoriented throughout this shift. Nonetheless, it is critical that you do not confuse discomfort with danger. The commencement of growth is characterized by discomfort. Even you will be amazed by the signs of acceleration that will soon appear in your life. Processes that used to take years to complete will now take weeks or even days. Delays that once frustrated will quickly disappear. Prayers that were previously suspended will begin to emerge with precision. This is an example of divine timing. It moves abruptly rather than gradually. You are entering a world of unexpected disclosures, clarity, breakthroughs, favor, and connections. These are not just coincidences. They are indications that you have been led by the divine down a road that is no longer open to opposition. I'd want to share a lesson that I learned during my own periods of anticipation. At times, I thought my prayers were being ignored, as if God had separated himself from my story. However, every time I approached the limit of my ability, an unexpected incident happened. I realized that God was never late when a door opened, a person appeared, a message arrived, or a transition occurred. He continually kept his alignment. He was changing components that I couldn't see, and he was ready for unexpected outcomes. The stillness was not due to absence. The delay wasn't in vain. And when the breakthrough finally came, it happened in such a way that every moment of delay was completely understandable. As the selected one, you are now experiencing the same level of clarity. It is now time for the visible chapters of the story that God has been writing in you. People will look at your life and wonder how everything happened so quickly. However, you will realize that it was not quick. Rather, it happened exactly at the right time. Heaven isn't replying. Heaven is transparent. You are moving from a state of hiding to one of acknowledgement. Not recognition from the ego, but acknowledgement from purpose. The most powerful part of this ascent is that it will feel completely natural to you, and heaven will confirm your journey in ways that cannot be denied. Not forced, not overwhelming, not fragile, but natural, as you evolve into a person capable of enduring what lies ahead. You do not receive blessings, rather you embody them. The blessing is not bestowed upon you, rather it comes from within you. Breathe deeply, chosen one. Allow the truth to infiltrate your being. You are not starting a new chapter. Rather, you are beginning your real chapter. The one written for you before your first disappointment, your deepest sadness, and your discovery of the resilience that stillness provides. The heavens are currently raising you, and nothing can bring you down. Chosen one. I want you to understand how much heaven has protected your path as we continue to examine this growing revelation. There are times in life when one feels as if they are surrounded by foes they cannot recognize, pressures they cannot name, and a sensation of gravity they cannot express. You puzzled why your spirit felt hunted, despite the seeming peace of your existence. However, you were unaware of the extent of your life's calling. You are responsible for a mission that incites spiritual hostility. Hence, heaven was obligated to protect you in ways that were not always obvious to you. Each delay, detour, and locked door served as a protective barrier, not a hindrance. You were not denied. Instead, you were defended. And now that the storm has gone, heaven is preparing to reveal the depth of the preservation efforts performed on your behalf. Heaven erased those who abandoned you without explanation, leaving you confused and hurt. Their presence would have slowed your ascent. Not because you were unqualified, but because they would have departed from your divine alignment. You missed out on opportunities you greatly wanted. There were partnerships that appeared to be promising, yet they eventually failed. This was not due to your failure, but rather because the cosmos saw that they could not withstand the heights you were destined to reach. Although you may not have noticed it at the time, clarity is now improving. God was not suppressing favors, but rather withholding counterfeits. Selected. The weight you carried over the years was not symptomatic of vulnerability, but rather of your capacity. Heaven compelled you to persevere beyond the ordinary, to carry the burden that others would fall beneath, and to remain steadfast when others would have given up. The endurance that was developed within you was not intended for the season in which you were living, but for the season into which you are shifting. Applause does not clarify identity. Ease does not ignite purpose, and comfort does not build strength. You were made in the furnace of transition, and the manifestation of that metamorphosis is about to emerge in the light. You've reached a moment in your life where your spirit no longer seeks validation from the earth because heaven has already recognized your value. This is why others are unable to understand your calmness. They don't understand how you can maintain a sense of calm in the face of uncertainty or optimism during a transition. They can't understand how you're still ascending when logic says you should have given up years ago. However, chosen one. This is the outcome of heavenly protection. Heaven made your roots grow deeper before allowing your branches to ascend. As a result, your roots are now equipped to carry the weight of the goodness that is growing above them. You must acknowledge a basic fact. The season you are entering does not match your prior location. It is an indicator of your own growth. Your previous problems did not predict your future. Rather, they acted as a spark. The nights in which you mourned silently are giving way to days in which you will walk with confidence. The moments when you felt neglected are paving the way for the occasions when you will unquestionably feel selected. Prayers that looked to go unanswered are now yielding results that beyond your expectations. Heaven has been preparing a blessing that is specifically intended to boost your resilience capability and growth. This is not a generic favor, it is personalized. Chosen one. I'd like to share a lesson I learned while dealing with a variety of life issues. There were days when I pondered why God allowed certain challenges, why loneliness seemed to be my only friend, and why closed doors outnumbered open ones. However, in retrospect, I realized that every unsolved question was settled by timing. God was not asking that I understand the season. Rather, He was encouraging me to rely on Him during it. When the transition finally happened, all of the questions I had raised became evident. Those that departed were forced to do so. The doors that were closed had to remain closed. I needed the silence to last long enough to hear the effects that heaven was leaving on me. I am now seeing the same pattern emerge in your life. You have progressed beyond the ability of your prior self to recognize. Your dreams are clearer, your spirit is stronger, your perception sharper, and your heart is more discerning. You no longer put up with what used to exhaust you, stick to what used to shatter you, or chase what used to distract you. This is an indication that your wings are ready for the altitude that heaven is preparing you for. You selected one have evolved beautifully, and elevation requires evolution. The next stage of your existence will not require the same level of combat as past seasons. Heaven has already written your name on it, so you will not have to earn it. You will not have to justify your right to the gifts that are unfolding. You are entering a period of spiritual relaxation, which is not associated with inactivity, but with inner peace. Your faith enabled this timing. Your perseverance earned this fortitude, and your obedience opened this door. Breathe in this reality, chosen one. You are about to climb in ways that will surprise you. Heaven always rewards preparedness, not because you forced it, but because you made yourself ready for it. Elect one. As we move on to the next level of revelation, feel your spirit grow. A quiet boldness is developing within you, the kind that does not require commotion to feel powerful. This daring is predicated not on pride, but on identity. You're starting to see yourself in the same way heaven has always seen you. Insecurities that once influenced your decisions are progressively disappearing. The concerns that previously limited your movements are vanishing as you become more aware of your genuine self. You are gaining spiritual maturity, and with that comes the power to exert authority. Heaven has wrapped your existence in a mantle that is impregnable to removal, contempt, or investigation. There is an astonishing thing occurring within you. You no longer desire situations that are incapable of accommodating you. You are no longer required to diminish in order to provide comfort to others. Your donations are no longer suppressed to protect them from being misinterpreted. The situation is one of a continuous, sacred, and irrefutable rise within you. This ascent is not arrogance. It is an expression of divine remembrance. Heaven serves as a reminder of the person you were before being betrayed, losing confidence, and having your light dimmed by life. You are not adopting a new identity. Rather, you are regaining all of your true self. The elevation you're entering, chosen one, will not only open doors, but also change the mood. Individuals will feel a strange sensation while entering rooms, even if they are unable to express it. Your stance will convey an air of authority and grace. You will carry a weight that cannot be produced or imitated, a weight reserved for those who have weathered storms without losing their tenderness. This weight is quite uncommon. It is the mark of those who have walked through valleys that would have felled others in the presence of God. It is evidence of resilience that was built, not bought. You are entering an era in which heaven will use your life to demonstrate preservation rather than perfection. Not in terms of performance, but in terms of objectives. There will be times when doors open without your knocking, blessings arrive without your seeking them, and restoration arrives suddenly. These aren't just coincidences, they are confirmations. They are heaven's way of saying, I saw you, I remembered you, and I never forgot the seeds you planted. Chosen one. Most of the advancements you are currently receiving are answers rather than incentives. Responses to your tolerance when others provoked you. Responding to your integrity when compromising would have been easier. Responses to your faith in the face of hardship that threatened to dash your hopes. Responses to compassion during times when you were most vulnerable. You sowed with your whole spirit, and heaven does not overlook seed. You will gain joy in exchange for your tears. You will get publicly what you have silently endured. Additionally, the connections around you will shift. Individuals who previously ignored your value will suddenly acknowledge it, but not because you have changed. Rather, your anointing is becoming more visible. Your spirit is more pronounced. Your individuality is brighter, and your presence is more powerful. Some people will be drawn to you with deep respect because they see a sacred aspect of your existence. Others will distance from you because your progress exposes their stagnation. Allow this to emerge naturally. Those who are called to follow you will rise with you. Individuals who do not meet this threshold will cease to exist. Elevation naturally distinguishes what destiny is unable to do. Selected. One thing I would like to share with you is based on my personal experience. At times in my life, the benefits I desired appeared nearly impossible to obtain. I saw others obtaining the things for which I had prayed, and I began to wonder whether I had been neglected. However, the truth was eventually disclosed. The blessing was not prepared by God. He was preparing me. Why? Because I wasn't the same person who hoped for the blessing when it arrived. I'd grown into someone who could hold it without fear, steward it without hesitation, and protect it without apology. The timing was not delayed. It was exquisite, and that same beauty is now unfolding in your life. Chosen one, you are on the verge of a breakthrough that will forever change the trajectory of your life. This is not a one-time benefit. This is not a temporary uplift. This is a critical moment in the divine plan. You will lose access to what you were formerly oppressed by. You will receive clarity about what has previously perplexed you. Your testimony will be strengthened by the very thing that previously undermined you. You've entered a world of miraculous flow where everything appears to work together flawlessly. Your spirit has become aligned not because life has gotten easier. Furthermore, you must keep this information strictly confidential. You are not attempting to disprove anyone. You are ascending to prove that God is right. This was the conclusion of your entire adventure. Every delay, sorrow, and sacrifice shape the version of you who is about to transform. Heaven is not planning to bestow favors on you. It is in the process of unveiling you. Chosen one. I want you to recognize the perfect accuracy with which heaven has been directing your steps as this next revelation unfolds. You were never lost, even when it seemed like you were roaming. Despite the seasons in which nothing made sense, every element was precisely planned. You are currently standing in the aftermath of fights you were unaware were affecting your life, and the tenacity you possess is not your regular strength. Heaven has purposefully and intentionally shaped the fortitude of a person with a vision far greater than what your eyes have seen. As if a light has been turned on over all you've survived, you're entering a moment in which your tale begins to make sense all at once, rather than piece by piece. During various stages of your journey, the weight of life weighed so heavily on your heart that you began to wonder if you would ever experience joy again. The gloom that surrounded you was so subtle that the majority of people never realized how serious your situation was. You smiled despite the knowledge that your heart was broken. When your spirit was down, you encouraged others. You arrived despite your wavering confidence. Although you thought those experiences were bad for you, they actually helped you in unexpected ways. Heaven used those seasons to build a foundation in you that storms could no longer shake. Each tear fostered a seed. Each setback taxed your fortitude. Each sadness provided a chance for the growth of deeper wisdom. None of it was wasted. All of the pieces of your journey are currently coming together in a spiritual change. Nothing in your life was happening at random. Even the mistakes that continue to plague you have hidden lessons. Even your most painful losses included hidden gems. Even the betrayals that destroyed your trust were accompanied by covert protection. God has used all available resources to weave the beautiful and suffering together into a tapestry whose design is now beginning to emerge. Because of your ability to persevere through seasons that would have led others to crumble, heaven may entrust you with tasks that others cannot undertake. You have shown the kindness of your heart with fire, and it will no longer consume you, but rather illuminate you. You've entered a hallowed space. This is not only a breakthrough. This is evolving. You aren't just entering a realm of benefits. You're entering the version of yourself that was always meant to hold them. You are currently seeing the creation of a strong, steadfast, and established identity. You no longer advance from insecurity, but rather from awareness. You no longer make judgments based on fear. Instead, you use discernment. You no longer doubt whether you were chosen. Rather, you recognize that your selection explains the hardship of the voyage. Your spirit has now reached a level of maturity that is unaffected by circumstances or viewpoints. You've matured into someone whom heaven can easily raise. Choose one. It is critical that you understand that the recognition that has entered your life is not a casual happenstance. It is the result of time. Divine timing is not a silent arrival. It is marked by power, clarity, and gravitas. The bounties that are currently being formed are less brittle than those from past seasons. They represent the tenacity with which you have persevered through everything. You are experiencing a state of fluidity that appears to be intertwined with favor in your regular activities. The doors will not just open, they will extend a warm welcome. Opportunities will not simply appear, they will align with your goals. People will not only recognize your presence, but will also value the substance you carry, which has been sculpted by truth, integrity, and sacrifice. You may have pondered why God allowed you to face so many hidden battles, and why your journey seemed to be marked by a type of silent warfare that few understood. However, you are now realizing that those fights are building the very muscles that heaven is using to elevate you as your lucidity improves. When trust was viewed as risky, one developed the ability to trust. When waiting gets unbearable, you learn to endure it. You develop the ability to love when it looks to be a risky venture. These teachings were not intended to shatter you, but to complete you. Despite the fact that some people develop by blessings, you have grown through adversity. As a result, your elevation will be determined by depth. Your success will be defined by integrity. Compassion will be part of your influence. Heaven does not squander pain. Selected. The grace that surrounds your life will be like exhaling after years of holding your air. You will find movement where you were before, frozen clarity when you were feeling overwhelmed, and abundance where you were previously experiencing scarcity. The financial breakthroughs that are building around you are more than just answers to prayer. They are instruments of purpose. You do not receive riches to feel important. Rather, it is to fulfill activities that require resources. Your heart remains pure in areas where others' hearts have failed, which is why heaven trusts you with what others have contaminated. The prize for your loyalty is currently unfolding, and you have successfully finished exams that you were not aware you were taking. Something else is going on which you may have noticed but have yet to fully appreciate. The supernatural is magnifying your effect much beyond your expectations. People will seek you out not because you asked for a platform, but because your life now has the clarity that others crave. When you talk steadily, lead something restorative, or simply show up, they will feel a feeling of sacredness. Your presence will provide a safe haven for many others as a result of the compassion lessons you've learned from your cyclone experiences. This influence is not about rank, but about assignment. Heaven is entrusting you with souls, not followers, and this trust is sacred. Take in this truth with reverence, chosen one. The alteration you are currently experiencing is irreversible. You will not return to your past habits. You will avoid relapsing into old concerns. You will not be limited to situations that you have outgrown. You are climbing, and nothing can pull you down. Not people, not situations, not uncertainty, nor postponement. Heaven decreed your ascent, and it never makes promises it can't keep. Chosen one, as we continue on your journey, I want you to recognize the profound way in which heaven has been reshaping your inner reality in order to prepare you for the impending outside transformation. You may not be aware of it, but the version of yourself that exists today is not the same as the one that entered the storms you previously thought would destroy you. Something inside you has experienced a subtle but evident alteration. You now have a sense of calm that was lacking previously. You have wisdom that was not gained through books or guidance, but rather through perseverance in the face of potentially lethal circumstances. There is a confidence that comes from you rather than being yelled. Heaven has been shaping you in the hidden places, and the secret work is soon to be disclosed without your need to speak. There were times in your life when you were overwhelmed by noise, other people's opinions, their expectations, assumptions, and projections. However, heaven gradually reduced the volume of all exterior voices, allowing you to hear the one voice that actually mattered. God separated you from distractions to refine you, not to isolate you. You developed the ability to recognize your own essence in the silence. During the silence, you learned to tell the difference between what was genuine and what was artificial. In the silence, you learned to discriminate between what was true to your nature and what was preventing you from achieving your goals. Your discernment is now one of your most precious qualities, since the roles to which you are being beckoned require a clear understanding. You were never meant to fit in, chosen one. Even with your best efforts, the fit was never natural. You consistently felt an excess of worry, a profound feeling of empathy, and an excess of lucidity. People in your area occasionally mistaken your depth for peculiarity or intensity, failing to see that heaven had purposefully engraved that depth into you. Conventional paths do not require emotional intelligence, spiritual sensitivity, or inner power, but the calling on your life must. While some followed a straight path, your trip was filled with twists and turns. This was not due to a lack of direction on your side, but to a road that God had precisely chosen to perfect every element of your life. As your spirit matures, your path will be diverted in an unexpected way. The manner in which you continued to walk despite the lack of answers is beautiful. Long before the world noticed you, your modest endurance catapulted you into heaven's spotlight. Heaven noticed every time you preferred integrity over expediency. Heaven saw each time you chose forgiveness over bitterness. Every time you chose patience in the face of tremendous stress. Heaven took note. These decisions weren't trivial, they were seeds. Seeds that have been germinating beneath the surface, awaiting their designated season. The selected season is currently ongoing. This harvest is not some arbitrary favor that you are going to accept. It represents the accumulation of obedience. It is the consequence of years of deciding on the best path forward, even if it meant giving up everything you knew. In the next months, you will have sudden realizations that you no longer respond in the same way to things that used to disturb your soul. The impact of emotional stimuli that have previously broken your peace will be reduced. People that previously drained you will lose access to you. You will feel insignificant in relation to the amount of your progress in situations that previously overpowered you. This is not vanity. Rather, it is a process of transformation. Heaven has boosted your emotional capacity to be calm. Your heart is now protected and no longer fragile. Your mind is no longer disorganized, It is focused. Your spirit is no longer dispersed. It is completely harmonious. It is unavoidable when alignment results in soul ascension. Selected. I'd like you to understand a key aspect. The blessing that is coming is not intended for the prior version of yourself. It is fast approaching the altered you. You would have been overjoyed if God had bestowed this blessing sooner. Fear or uncertainty may have caused you to sabotage your own progress, doubt your competence, or question your worth. However, something within you has achieved a point of equilibrium. You have developed a sense of stability. Your roots have been established. You've formed an awareness of your own worth that is unaffected by the opinions of others. This awareness is what qualifies you for the ascension that heaven has planned for you. God never encourages identity confusion. He promotes the definition of one's identity. And you, chosen one, have finally reached a point of clarity. In addition, you are undergoing a tremendous healing process that is both unconscious and transforming. You are recovering from calamities that you have never revealed to anyone. You are recovering from betrayals you tried to ignore. You are recovering from disappointments that you pretended were minor. You are recovering from periods in which you bore more than your heart was designed to handle. You are recovering from sensations of being unheard, unappreciated, or unnoticed. Despite the absence of any tangible changes, you feel lighter because your spirit is no longer burdened by the same things that suffocated you before. Heaven has gently removed the burdens from your soul, making room for the blessings that require emotional space. Chosen one. You may be unaware of it, but you have already crossed a threshold. Your future began to emerge the moment your spirit let go of whatever that was bringing you grief, whether it was a memory, a person, an expectation, or an identity. Elevation is not a temporary experience. It is a transition. In addition, you have changed your position. Things that were once believed impossible now appear doable. The dreams that once worried you now appear to be in sync. Desires that were once considered unreasonably enormous now appear to be completely reasonable. Inner preparation manifests when your spirit grows sufficiently to accommodate the blessing it could previously only imagine. Recognize that you will not approach the next chapter of your life with fear, as heaven prepares to disclose it. You will enter with a sense of calm power. You will not enter there with an excuse for your profession. You will walk with the confidence of someone who has survived an incident designed to destroy them. Your ascent isn't only about ascending. It entails becoming visible to the world in the way you were always meant to be. You were concealed for a season, but you will not be concealed in the following season. God is about to position you in situations where your sincerity is valued, your talents are acknowledged, and your presence is required. Dear Chosen One, as we enter the final stage of your unfolding trip, allow your spirit to recognize the great distance you have traveled and the profound impact of heaven that has brought you to this point. The atmosphere around your life is undergoing a holy metamorphosis, a subtle but irrefutable shift that marks the end of one cycle and the start of another. You have passed the line of possibility and are no longer standing on the verge of it. Heaven has already stated that you have over the unseen barrier that separates who you were from who you are becoming, even if the rest of the world has yet to see it. The weight that previously held you back has been broken, and the grace that is rising inside you is stronger than anything that has ever sought to repress your mission. Currently, you will be unable to recognize the person in your mirror. Not because you've changed, but because you've finally realized your full potential as the person you were meant to be. Your actions are no longer influenced by the insecurities that once drove them. The patterns that were previously reoccurring have faded. Shadows that were formerly present behind you have now vanished. Your spirit is now taller, more stable, and more enlightened. You are giving the testimony of someone who has gone through adversity and emerged not bitter, but renewed. One that has been selected. Recognize that the future will differ from the past as this new season unfolds around you. Your years of peace activism have been committed to this cause. Peace will now seek you out. You've been waiting for opportunities for seasons. Opportunities will now gravitate toward your brightness. You've now spent the night in prayer searching for clarity. Your innate condition will be clarity. The subsequent chapter is unrelated to endeavor. The emphasis is on receiving. It is not about pursuing. It refers to alignment. It's not a matter of proving. It refers to the process of maturation. The grace in your life is shifting from endurance to expansion. Furthermore, there will be others who see you with new eyes, discovering a power in you that they previously overlooked. Do not be surprised when folks who previously ignored you come to admire you, when environments that before rejected you begin to lure you in, or when formerly locked rooms suddenly open wide. This was not an accident. This is a divine reminiscence. God honors your resilience in extremely intimate, undeniable, and visible ways. You are not getting a promotion out of spite. Your position has improved as a result of your persistent dedication during times when others attempted to undermine your morale. One that has been selected. Inhale the reality. Your narration has been made audible. The same God who has sustained you through hidden conflicts is now prepared to reveal you in places where your light may make a real impact. With the full support of heaven, you are going on your destiny. Nothing can stop the progression of an event that has already started. It is impossible to undo God's decrees. What the heavens have illuminated cannot be lessened. You are now soaring effortlessly, naturally, and powerfully into the life that has long awaited you. One that has been selected. As we close this sermon, take in all of the words spoken over you by heaven today. You are not leaving this time in the same way you arrived. Something has changed within you. An ancient force has awakened. A divine entity has appeared. You are currently in the epicenter of your Kairos moment, the exact time that heaven foresaw for your story, even before you took your first breath. This timing is not arbitrary. This elevation is not by accident. You, the Anointed One, are joining God in His movement. One that has been selected. The supernatural transfer that has been taking place is causing the unseen to become visible. The transformation has already begun, though you may not yet realize its full extent. Responses are imminent. Doors are growing increasingly floppy. The atmospheres are realigning in your favor. The previously hidden material is finally being disclosed. What was previously postponed is now moving forward. The person who has never forgotten you is healing the damage that was done. The same God who safeguarded you is now presenting you with honor. This is not the beginning of your ascent. This is the disclosure. Keep this truth in your heart when you leave this video. Heaven has already addressed you in chambers you haven't yet entered. Favor is now traveling ahead of you. Provision is appropriate for its intended purpose. Your path is being shaped by God-ordained partnerships. Because you are no longer traveling in ambiguity, but rather in assignment, the ground beneath you has changed. You do not anticipate a breakthrough. You're becoming an incarnation of one. Divine intention is clear in every action you take from this point forward. May the blessing of clarity come onto your intellect, chosen one. May you be blessed with the gift of tranquility. May the gift of fortitude rise within your bones. May the gift of discernment guide you away from anything that seeks to diminish your anointing. May the blessing of boldness empower you to visit spaces that were previously intimidating. And may the supernatural acceleration that has been bestowed upon you transport you to the destinations that heaven has been preparing for you while you have waited patiently. You are now embarking on a new phase in which you will no longer pursue what is yours. It was given to you. You no longer seek to be noticed. You exude effortlessly. You no longer have anxieties about losing. You are securely planted in the abundance that God has prepared for you. This is the season for divine justice, restoration, and visibility. Heaven has officially validated the silent hardship you have carried. Proceed with thankfulness. Walk with assurance. Proceed with anticipation. This work in you is being exposed in real time by the God who began it, and one that has been chosen. If this word spoke to you deeply, if you felt the presence of heaven as you listened, I encourage you to stay in this area. Please describe the features of the experience that spoke to your spirit. Please subscribe if you are moved to do so, not out of habit, but out of alignment. Allow this community to strengthen your faith, support your hope, and remind you of your identity and the person you are becoming. Go now in a position of calm power and prophetic assurance. Your story is evolving. Your reputation is rising. Your opportunity has arrived. Beloved, I am pleased that you are here, since the information that is about to be imparted cannot be postponed or saved for later. This message was not written for a particular date. It was created for the present day, for this exact moment in your life. Consider it a tender love message from God, written with meaning and care. The first reality it reveals is that no good deed you have ever accomplished has gone undetected. Take time to consider this. Despite your growing aggravation, you repeatedly chose forbearance. You refrained from retaliating whenever it appeared to be an enticing alternative. Each time you concealed your pain, you provided a chance to show compassion to another person. Heaven observed everything, despite the fact that nobody showed gratitude, despite the fact that no one noticed. God never lost sight of you, even when people assumed you were all right because you didn't communicate your problems. According to Psalm 34, verse 18, the Lord is near to the brokenhearted and rescues those who are spiritually wounded. You are still standing because you have been encouraged, observed, and remembered at every turn. Performance is often the focus of global interest. It demonstrates strength when it is properly wrapped, easy to admire, and appears polished. However, God does not consider appearances. God reveres the truth. He noticed the nights when you struggled with uncertainty, but still got up the next morning. He watched the days when you lacked spiritual or physical strength, but maintained your integrity rather than pretending it. He noticed when you didn't speak, not because you didn't have something to say, but because you valued peace over self-justification. That demonstrated genuine fortitude. That was the kind of strength that quietly built the foundation under your feet. It's conceivable you didn't get that affirmation when you really needed it. It's possible that no one appreciated your efforts as a child. It's possible that no one noticed your efforts to break old habits and achieve more satisfying adulthood. When you used your last ounce of energy, you may have received nothing but quiet. However, silence on earth has never been equivalent to silence in heaven. God counted it all. Every private decision, repressed reaction, and sacrifice. Furthermore, He now desires that you understand this topic clearly. It truly mattered what you carried, suffered, and chose when no one was looking. The Lord comprehends all desires and thoughts, and analyzes every heart. 1 Chronicles chapter 28, verse 9. The delays you mentioned were not in denial. The trimming you loathed was not an act of retribution. It was an act of preparedness. God was molding you for an unknown reason. Furthermore, planning consistently yields an unveiling. The unveiling is going to happen. For a long time, certain people treated your life as if you were forgotten. They mistook the absence of seasons for abandonment. They believed that the absence of adulation signified a lack of purpose. However, they are about to be surprised by God. The following events do not appear to constitute failures. It seems to be a request for favors. The identical circumstances that were previously viewed as setbacks will be revealed as setups. The previously restricted routes will begin to open. Not because you forced them, not because you mandated them. However, this is down to your preparation. Allow it to soak in. You are not moving to the next chapter because of your satisfactory performance. You are entering it because you are unwavering. You did not give up your essence in order to accommodate the wishes of others who chose to settle. You did not give up your peace for acceptance. You did not give up your light in order to save relationships that couldn't handle its intensity. God never doubted you, even when you questioned yourself. He was aware of your inner existence. Eyes that see more deeply. A heart that detects longer distances. A spirit also ascends while others fail to do so. This is the silent cultivation you've been promoting. And now, that quiet fortitude is about to resonate with a volume that will defy every challenge you have faced. The upcoming events will not only appear to be positive. You will feel something the moment you walk into a room. Your presence will be defined by a subtle solemnity that is difficult to describe. It is a weight that comes from the ability to weather storms and resist the temptation to become bitter, hardened, or shattered by the events that tried to destroy you. The brilliance of it is described below. You no longer have to provide an explanation. There's no need to justify your strength or reveal your scars. You are not compelled to provide anyone with a detailed account of your survival. God observed everything. This concludes the matter. Survival is no longer the only goal of this season. Recognition is the topic. Not the superficial variety, which declines when attention shifts elsewhere. However, the type that arises from the skies. The type that quietly announces, "This one persevered." In the absence of any spectators, this guy chose to retain integrity. This person will be publicly acknowledged for their constancy, which was previously kept private. The Bible says, "Those who are wise will shine like the brightness of the heavens." Daniel's 12:3. You are currently in that location, standing on the verge of a season that is significantly different from the one before it. You are entering an era in which peace does not demand daily fights. It begins to flow. A period in which doors do not swivel or open partially. Then, they are fully operating. A moment when affection does not necessitate begging or demonstration of merit. It comes at no cost, since God has already recognized your worth. And it's okay if that sounds unfamiliar. After years of perseverance, a sensation of ease may feel alien. Joy can be unsettling when your spirit has only recently learned to survive. However, a novel does not necessarily imply inaccuracy. It indicates punctuality. This change is not taking place due to the passage of time. It is caused by the convergence of alignment and identity. Because of your resolve to stop decreasing in order to provide comfort for others. as a result of your commitment to protect your mind. Even if it meant strolling alone for an entire season. Heaven is currently reacting to the decision. The eternal glory that our light and transient struggles provide to us greatly outweighs them all. 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 17. The work you're doing is no longer hidden. It is the season when the silent cultivation of something starts to communicate without words. There is a difference between a person who is radiant because they are in the spotlight and a person who is radiant because their radiance has overcome the darkness. You're the second. Undoubtedly, your presence will be felt. People may not understand it, but they will experience it. A sense of stability, the precision, the power that did not originate from applause. It is impossible to create that type of environment. It is only capable of being forged. In addition, you were made through forging. Not in opulence, but in expectation. This is the reason why God is currently rewriting your story. Some people believed that if they disregarded you for a lengthy period of time, your vision would deteriorate. They feared that your hesitation would erode your strength. This carelessness would limit the potential that God has given upon you. However, the fact that they were unable to grasp is as follows. Disregarding what God has sown will not suffocate it. No human dismissal can stop what God has started. The very people who previously misjudged you are going to see the formation that God has been directing all along. It's not because you need their approval. It isn't because you want retaliation or validation. God, on the other hand, has made it clear that you exist. Consider the situation. The same locations that rejected you will soon be presented with evidence of your uniqueness. The same people who questioned your future will have to face the reality of it. Regardless, those who predicted your demise will be forced to witness your ascent. This does not constitute pettiness. It's a divine arrangement. This is how heaven restores the truth. When God invests in a person, the reward is never hidden permanently. Scripture teaches us that if we persevere, we will reap a harvest at the proper time. Galatians 6-9. And your harvest is no longer postponed. It is now due. You lived as if your existence had been suspended for a long time. You were under the assumption that nothing happened. However, what you were unable to see was heaven continued to operate. Alignment continues. Moments and individuals are still being thoughtfully planned. God was composing in the background, expecting a timeline that would only be clear after it arrived. And now that the time has come, the recognition you are about to get will not be the product of your efforts or tiredness in being noticed. It will come from the restrained seriousness of your personality. Your integrity is significant. Your fortitude is considerable. Your obedience is significant. Additionally, wait is constantly experienced before it is explained. That's all. Don't be surprised if people start asking about the changes. Do not be surprised if you are handled differently than you expect in familiar rooms. Don't be surprised if even strangers see a spiritual part of your life but are unable to express it. That's not an accident. That is God's signature. Anyone with ears to hear will hear. Regardless of their lack of understanding surrounding their sensory sensations, Luke chapters 8 verse 15. And this is the bit that may make you feel uncomfortable. The blessings that are now arriving are not arbitrary. These are responses. Direct replies to seedlings planted when there appeared to be no growth. You chose faith every time. even when doubt was pervasive. Every refusal to accept anything other than the truth. You kept your honesty in private at all times. These were seedlings. God does not overlook seed. Those who sow with sorrow will reap with songs of joy. Psalm 126, verse 5. This was not an accident. This was not an accident. This is justice. Justice for the nights you went without answers. No one praised justice for their sacrifices. Justice for the anguish you've undergone without hardening your heart. Divine justice does not enter gently. It declares its existence. However, understand this. The alteration is not only external, it's internal. You have gone through a transformation. Everything around you is currently adapting to your new identity. You are not starting another season of survival. You are going to enter a period of prosperity. A period in which one becomes living proof that God never forgets his children. The vision is awaiting a specific moment. Wait for it, despite its lingering. It will certainly arrive. Habakkuk, chapter 2, verse 3. And perhaps that is still unfamiliar. It's probable that some of you are expecting a loss because for a long time, wealth came with a hidden cost. However, that narrative is coming to an end. What is coming is not a fleeting blessing. This is a covenant benefit. The type that nourishes rather than depletes. The variety that is resilient in the face of adversity. The kind that is untouched by changes in opinion. Because it was never based on opinions in the first place. It was built on the basis of God's memory of you. As a result, do not be hesitant when you receive acknowledgement. Do not question whether you are worthy of it. Do not abandon your prior patterns of unworthiness. Stand within it. This is the outcome of your silent construction. It would have been easier to handle this when you decided to resign. Allow them to ponder. Allow them to mumble. Allow them to try to provide an explanation. They are unable to eliminate the evidence that God Himself is presenting. This is the season when your concealment turns into a headline. Not to invalidate others' ideas, but to illustrate God's faithfulness. I am glad for your being with me until this moment. If these words touch you deeply, don't speed past them. Please allow it to settle. Allow it to establish itself. Please type Amen in the comments area as a silent indication of agreement. A way of saying that I am currently seeing the unfolding of God's plan in my life. Furthermore, if you are acquainted with someone who has been experiencing an extended, undetected period, a person who has been practicing their beliefs in solitary, distribute this message to them. It could be the confirmation they've been waiting for. Please subscribe so that you can continue to follow us on this adventure. In a systematic way, season to season. Also, bear this in mind as you progress. You are no longer pursuing God. You are not attempting to communicate with Him over a distance. You're in His presence. Directly in this location. Right now. Completely visible. Completely recognized. And it is deeply ingrained.